Hey kids, if you're a seven-figure entrepreneur or want to be a seven-figure entrepreneur, Leslie Hassler is the lady to talk to. Hello, Leslie.
Howdy, how's it going?
I'm living the dream, as you can tell. Look at this. Look at this face. How can I not be living the
How
dream?
could you not? For sure.
All right, so you got an interesting proposition. I think it's going to work out. And the end, by the way, for everyone who's viewing and listening to this, at the end we're going to have a little bit of a bonus for you. You like that little tease, Leslie? So. Why don't you go real quickly? Number one, give us one quick tip that a seven-figure entrepreneur probably who wants to succeed, maybe even get to the eight-figure entrepreneur area. Give us one thing that they should do to succeed.
How about seeing taxes as a privilege of profit? Well, I think, for a lot of business owners, we're taxed. We don't want to pay any more taxes than we owe. And hey, all for that. However, we do it to the detriment of the business. And so every year we break even and pull money out of the business, but we're not really developing a business that has stability, security, and can weather storms in the meantime. So for so many businesses, even our seven-figure gals and guys, you're one heart attack, one mistake away from destroying your business. And I think if you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, that's a shame. It's a darn right shame to get to that point. So you really do have to change the way you view money and think about things like profits and taxes in order to get a business that can even scale into eight figures.
I like that. That's a good opening. I like that. We're going to dive into a little bit more about that and then obviously some other added value things. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you're a big name in the marketplace for working with entrepreneurs, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. For myself, I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. So everything I'm going to share with you comes from the School of Hard Knocks. In fact, I have an MBA. And I failed some courses along the way. So I've gotten the scrapes and the bruises and the broken arms and you name it, I probably have messed it up. But I think that keeps us real. It keeps us grounded in the practicality of what business looks like and the fact that no two business journeys are the same. So we don't treat our clients like they're a one size fits all. We really teach them the management side of it so that they can take whatever comes their way.
Yeah. I like that. I know what you mean. I mean, I run this thing called the Diary of a Failed Entrepreneur. So I know exactly what it's like. I love talking about my failures and in an effort to get people who are out there to not do the same thing. But then again, it's a little embarrassing. I fully admit it. I've messed up. I know I could have been a lot bigger if I wanted to, but I was semi-retired for 10 years. But the same thing, I think people learn from our mistakes, and that's why I consider myself a good consultant. So I totally hear what you're saying about that.
Well, and I think it's so important to share your story like what you're doing in the diary episodes, because truly entrepreneurship is on the job training. Yeah. I mean, you can get a degree, but a lot of it's theory. And until you're actually getting out there and getting your hands dirty on it, if you don't know that these kind of hiccups and learnings and bumps in the road are part of the gig, you cast judgment in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
And you don't get to be resilient.
Yeah, I like that. Totally true. So, all right. So that's a good background. I know you have a good background. You're big time. And by the way, you work with clients all over the country, correct?
Yeah, our clients are nationwide, sometimes a little international as well, but we're a completely virtual firm, completely digital. We do enjoy seeing our clients in person at least once a year, but yeah, across the nation and really across all industries. I think our last 33 clients are across 17 different industries.
Oh, look at you. And they, let's say I sign up. I'm going to be blunt. I work with you individually, or do I work with a team? How does that work, by the way?
You work with a team. So we're a collaborative approach. If you think about it, sometimes if you're in a medical situation, you get a team of doctors, people that are specialists in a variety of areas, and they all come together and work on your business. That's what our firm does. We have a group of amazingly talented people. You get a lead, right? You get me, but truly it's about getting a collective approach, or if you think of it, it's like hiring an entire fractional C-suite until you can afford those C-suite leadership positions in your business. And not every business is ready for that just yet, but we like to help you get there.
I got it. All right. I'm going to make you a case example, and I'm going to ask some you don't have to answer some of these questions, but I'm going to ask some questions of you that are going to basically help our viewers and listeners, because a lot of people want to be like you, meaning scale their business like you have. Does that make sense? Yep. And they'll be able to see if you could, work on your feet, which I think you can. All right. So it sounds like 33 clients. If you say 33 new clients, you guys are growing quickly. How is it that you're marketing? This will check the box for the CMO consulting that you do.
Yeah.
How are you
So,
marketing to get that many clients? Because that's a lot.
and granted, that's the last 33. We do have a pretty good size run that goes through here. And this is a scaling secret, a kind of scaling story, if you will. Where we are in our own business is where a lot of businesses find themselves in, is that we have a tremendous amount of network. We do a lot of relationship marketing. We do a lot of content marketing. You can find us on nearly every single channel. And I know that stuff works. Like we do a LinkedIn newsletter, for instance. I know that works because we have clients that get newsletter from LinkedIn before they're a client, send it to me and say, okay, I'm ready to go. This article really spoke to us. So we have a system back there, right? But we're at the point in time to where we need to get more leverage and more scale, which is really what the next part of our marketing investments and development are all about. It just takes time to build those things. And I think that's what people don't understand about marketing. It's not a light switch. You don't just go ding on, now I have light. It really is about building momentum. So the momentum that we have today is from very intentional, concerted, focused, and repeated action from the last 3 to 5 years.
There you go. All right. So we're getting somewhere. So you would suggest it's worked out for your business. Every business isn't the same, but for you, it's worked out, obviously LinkedIn. So you would suggest someone who's whatever, 6, 7, top 6, 7 figure income earner, you would suggest walking down that path of LinkedIn as an example.
Not necessarily. I'm going to have to know who their client is and where they're trying to grow. The issue of it is that we know our client is there. They're not really on Facebook. We're on Instagram. They're not really, they go to escape in those platforms. So it does take the knowledge and aligning the strategy that you're going to use with your ideal client and your business so that it all comes together. The problem is that people, they don't think about their target audience and what they're going to do. So I probably only have 1 or 2 of our current clients that I would even say, you need to be on LinkedIn. In other cases, I'm like, nope, that's not what we need. We need something more highly leveraged. I have other ones that I'm like, I need you out speaking. You need to be speaking. You have something to say. So it's really about tailoring the strategies. I think we've documented like 87 different marketing strategies you could use. Guess what? They all work and none of them work. It's really about finding the ones that align with the business, with the clients, and with the strategy. So you'll never get me to say, you should be on LinkedIn, because the truth is, maybe you shouldn't.
Got it. So maybe that's why they're paying you for give customized service. I like it. I like where you're going with that. Very smart. Very smart, Leslie. By the way, how does someone get a hold of you? I always forget that. How does someone get a hold of you?
Sure. The easiest way, you can get to our website, yourbizrules.com. And we even have a welcome page for your listeners where type vast voice at the end of that. You'll be able to get right to us, find out anything we talk about on today's call.
I love it. Hey, once again, can you mention that?
Sure. It's yourbizrules.com/vast voice.
Sweet. All right, cool. All right. So we went over a little bit of the marketing component. What about tax? It sounds like you guys do CFO, services, virtual CFO services. So what are you guys doing tax? And you don't, if this is too private, I get it. What are you guys doing tax wise for your business, or you guys individually, if you can talk about that, that is a little bit better than what a normal consultant would be doing?
Here's the truth of it. We work in tandem with tax professionals. So we're going to be working with the tax CPAs. We're not tax expertise experts. What we are, though, is because we work in the cash flow side of the business, we have to work in tandem, because what I do is create a lot of cash in a business. Now, cash creates tax liability. I can help save. I can help make sure that we're paying for this year's taxes, this year's 401k, this year. I mean, these are our goals. We want to be current in what we're paying for. I can take care of all of that. But really, then it's up to a tax professional to maximize, minimize, and really ensure that our clients are being able to create the wealth that they want to create.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that, Leslie. Way to rock. That's a good answer. And then, so what about finance? What are some finance strategies that you guys are doing individually or as a company that, again, is a little bit different than the typical consultant that can add value down the road?
Yeah, I would say the 2 tools that we use that are not as prevalent as I feel like they should be in the market. One is we use a predictive cash flow tool. So we can anticipate the daily balance for our clients' bank accounts at any point in time. And then we see it out 10 years. That is huge when it comes to strategy, especially when you're making investments and growing and scaling a business, because growth devours cash. So we have to pay attention to it. From the other tool that we use pretty heavily is a profit plan. This is really about putting purpose to profit. What we find is that when the money of the business has no purpose, it tends to get squandered, or it gets nickeled and dimed, or it gets appropriated in ways that doesn't serve the end goal of the owner, doesn't serve the growth goals of the business. And so we just help put these two kind of bumper rails in, if you will, so that we stay on track and deliver whatever the result may be. You know, if I've got a client that wants to retire, wants to move somewhere, and their magic number that they need is 1.6, then I need a business that can generate 1.6, or a business that can be sold at least for a multiple of 1.6, because we know taxes, right? Those are the things that we have to do. And we have to put in bumper rails so that the business performs in the area that we want it to.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Wow, you are good at thinking on your feet. What about the HR component? Again, someone who's making 600,000 who wants to go to seven figures, or someone who's whatever, even higher. You know what I mean? So let's talk about HR. What are you guys doing as a group that's kind of unique? And again, let's make that kind of a analogy for some of the people here that we're talking about bringing on for you potentially.
Sure. So what we do exceedingly well with the team is a business owner can have a team but still be involved in all the day-to-day minutia of the business owner and not be able to grow the business. So we work with the team to get them empowered, to make sure they're trained, to get them to start to take things over. The best day is when my clients say, so-and-so just came into the office. My office took it off my desk, told me I'm not doing it anymore. And if they need help, they'll come find me. I mean, like that, those are the kinds of teams we want. We want confident, empowered, and strategic teams. We also tend to involve the team more in the management of the business or the strategic direction of the business. This way they're on board and we're not playing the telephone game, which means things can get lost in translation. So I really feel that we help our owners manage their teams in a way of today and the future, so that their teams feel valued, but also empowered to take things off their owner's plate. So their owner, your listeners, can actually do what they love more, which is not filing and taking out the trash, let me tell you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. Because me as an entrepreneur, I want to make it so I don't have to do the stuff I don't want to do. I just want to do the stuff I want to do. And sometimes maybe I'm really good at selling widgets. I want to just sell the widget. I don't want to take care of HR as an example. You know what I mean? I mean, it's best use of my time. You know what I mean?
Yep. And we have several clients where we're at the point in time to bringing in a manager from an HR perspective. They really need somebody that can handle all the paperwork and the minutia. Sometimes we can do that through contractors. Sometimes it's a part-time gig. Sometimes they need a full-time person, but we'll help them figure it out. We'll help them figure out how to pay for it and write up that, job parameters and execute and hire and train.
Well, okay, I got a couple dumb questions. No one ever said I was smart, right? How does it work? What's an engagement like with you guys? Like, how do I get what's the initial onboarding? I don't even know what your fees are. I don't know if you want to talk about your fees. How does it work?
Yeah, so really, we work with people in a couple of ways. One, we can do a doctor's visit. Hey, how's everything going? Give your business a physical, if you will. And we can work on a project basis. But for a lot of our clients, we're working at a year-long engagement because the moves that we're trying to make are not insignificant. Now, I will tell you, in a year, our clients typically see 3 times growth in a year, 6 times in 3, if they're ready to grow. But sometimes we have to build the foundations, right, to make sure the growth will stick. In that way, I will say we do a combination when we first are onboarding. Our first step is always a business audit. Like, we're going to go through your business with a fine-tooth comb. But while we're doing that, we get to business, we get to work. There's always pressing issues. There are always little fires that need to be put out. We start to work on what our intuition says we need to work on, so that the data from the business audit has time to get crunched and made pretty for our clients. So then we know for sure what we should be working on. So we're very data conscious in that way. We're definitely leaning into the intuition, but I just say we like to balance the head and the heart. so that
Hmm.
you're getting a very holistic view of what needs to be done for your business.
Yeah, I get it. That totally makes sense. So give me one example of, the listeners or viewers where you took a company that was struggling, the guy was working or the girl was working 24 hours a day in their business, and all of a sudden they turned it around, and now you said 3 times, like, now all of a sudden they're up 20,000% or whatever. One example, one huge example, and that'll really help us to understand what it is you guys do, and if you can add value to some of the people who are out there.
Yeah, so one of my favorite stories is actually of a client that came in, a 4 or 5 year old business, been doing pretty well, got into that $400,000-$500,000 range. And really, we did a business audit for them. We took a look at some things, and I said, I think you've got all you need to do to be at a 1.9. And they're like, no, not going to happen. I was like, no, I really think at 1.9. They're like, no, not going to happen. I said, okay, what do you feel is possible? And they said, I think maybe $1 million. I said, okay, how about we play this game? Prove me wrong. That first year, we did 1.9, and we grew from a business that was tracking to $500,000 to 1.9 in 9 months. I essentially took the revenue of the business and turned that into the business owner's income.
Got it.
Right? So that's a fun game to do, is to take your revenue and take your top line, make it your bottom line.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, I love that.
It's always fun, right? The truth is that the reason that the business owner was worried about that number is they didn't trust their business. They couldn't see far enough out to say, yes, I feel like that, confident we could do that. And so even year 2, we didn't make huge gains because it was really about proving we could do it again, proving that the business could stabilize and be performing at that high level. The third year, though, they came back and they're like, we're ready to grow. Well, we're gonna probably grow 30%, or I'm sorry, not even 30, 50 to 60%. So doing some quick math in my head, but growth is totally possible. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to let it happen versus trying to control it.
I know exactly what you mean by that. It sounds kind of weird, but I know exactly what you mean by that.
Okay, good. Yeah, we have to allow it and just give it some guardrails, but then I do believe we are in a unique position and time to where you can expect exponential growth. If you're growing at 10% a year, or what is it, the old adage, if you grew 14% year over year, in 5 years, you would double. That used to be the 1980s and 1990s gold standard. Right now, that's still, I'm not going to shuck any growth. Any growth is good growth. However, you're leaving so much on the table.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree with that. Or go ahead.
No. I was just saying so much.
Yeah. All right, so let's get ready to land this plane. So I'm guessing it might be a good time for you to roll out something that I think my viewers and listeners will like, and then we're going to do a little bonus here. Why don't you go ahead and mention a couple of things about a little surprise for the kids out there?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to do is we have an upcoming book that's releasing here called First This, Then That. This is some of the foundational things that if you're having a challenge growing your business, it's where you're getting stuck. You just don't know it. And we're going to offer your listeners some of those free books so that they can dive into it. I really do. This is a great book for anyone in business. Obviously, if you're starting up, any knowledge is good knowledge. But if you're spinning your wheels in your business and you've been at this for a little bit, read this book, please, because this is the first thing we fix before we really start to scale you is in this book. So it's called First This, Then That.
And how do they get that book?
They can go to that link we said at the beginning, so yourbizrules.com/vast voice, and be able to see if you can get one of those free copies. But if not, you'll be having a link to be able to get it for yourself as well.
All right. Well, it's probably the last. Henner, the big guy, is going to pay for some books for the listeners and viewers out there, because I think that sounds like what Leslie got to offer is going to add some value to you guys, and that's what I'm trying to do as an entrepreneur, add some value to the people out there who are listening and watching, because I think that if we can add value to you guys, you're going to be that much more happy. So with that being said, Leslie, thank you very much. Any parting comments you want to say before we close the door?
No, I agree with you totally. If we are the backbone to the American economy as small business owners, any impact that we can do to lift each other up is only paying it forward and creating a better economy for us all to succeed. So take us up on that and continue listening to Kenner and really put some of this stuff to work. Take action, no matter how imperfect. do something.
That's exactly right. You got to take action. You could listen to this podcast. You can listen to this, do whatever. You could read a bunch of business books, but if you sit around doing nothing, well, nothing's going to happen. Your situation isn't going to be advantaged. And I think people know that, but it's easy to, keep going along the same path versus veering off, even if it's, a path that might not be very popular, but down the road, you could be happy you did it. So anyway, Leslie, thank you very much for taking the time, and all the people who are out there, thank you very much for taking the time. Hopefully you're going to, get a copy of the book, free. You got to like the word free, right? Once again, this is Ken French of vastsolutionsgroup.com. This is Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thanks, everybody.